Alright guys, it's Charlie Tango 1994 back with another YouTube video. In my previous Radio Shack video, I showed you getting my garage organised and getting my Radio Shack corner sorted out. This is my Anytone 5555 and we've plugged that into a power supply, got it up and running, connected it to the Venom half wave that I've got in the garden, and we're in a position now where we can start using the radio. The one thing we've not done is check the SWR. It's been a while since it's been properly connected, and I do want to make sure in terms of power and SWR that it's all going to work properly. So I want to do some quick tests. Now, one of the things with the Anytone is that it's got an integrated SWR meter, and I've said in my previous video that when I've tested it before, I was getting an SWR of about 1.2. Naturally, I've got SWR power meters separate to that, and I'm not sure how reliable the SWR meter in the Anytone is, so I want to connect up my other SWR meter and run a couple of tests on it. So first off, let's have a look at the internal SWR, just double check what it's giving us, and then I'll pull out another meter, connect that in line, and we'll see how that goes. So I've turned the SWR function on the Anytone, and you can see, I think you can see the SWR icon just there showing that it's active. Now if I select channel 1 for example and key up, we get 1.2, and on channel 40 we get around about 1.2. Looks like it was slightly under. So I've got the RF power right down at the moment, so I'm not sure whether that's the right way to get a reading, and just for reassurance really, I want to, as I say, connect another meter to it and just see what sort of reading we're getting. So I'll be back to you in a minute with that. Alright, so I've got the SWR meter connected in line now. Basically all that is a patch lead that runs between the receiver, between the transceiver I should say, into the back of the meter, and then I've connected the antenna to the back of that, and now we can start testing the SWR. I'm going to change the camera position just so we can get closer into the meter itself, so bear with us while we do that. So I've got it zoomed right in now to the meter. I'll try and keep it as still as possible. We've got the radio on FM on channel 1 at the moment, so we'll run a test on channel 1, then on channel 40, and then if we need to we'll look halfway through the range, which will be channel 20. That'll be on the UK FM block, the Muppet channels as they're known. So let's take a look at that. If I key up with the SWR meter on forward, we'll make our adjustments and we set it to set. Key off for a moment and then change it to reflect, and we'll see what we get on channel 1. So that's looking like, I'm going to have to get my head in a bit closer to take a look, but about 1.3, something like that. So I'm not unhappy with that. The next thing to do is to switch it to channel 40. Basically do the same thing. We set the SWR to forward. It's not too far off at all actually. Switch it back to reflect, and again it's looking pretty low, about 1.3. so I'm happy that we're not going to cause any damage to the radio with the setup as it is, which is good news. But as I mentioned previously, I have got the RF power way down at the moment, but it does say that it's probably within sort of a usable range. Even with more power coming out of the radio, I wouldn't expect it to go super high, so we're looking for basically anything above 1.5 and 2 would still be usable, but not optimal, we would say. And then really anything above about 3 or anything above 3, once we move into the red on the SWR meter, that's telling us that too much power is coming back from the antenna back to the radio, and that could cause problems with some of the internal components in the radio, and that's a big no-no. So it's always important when you first rig up a radio that you test the SWR. Now, I've had my antenna in the same sort of position for quite a long time, but as I've said in previous videos, over the last year or so I've not really been on the radio that much for one reason or another. So it's important that, you know, we check this before, particularly before I start using sideband, where the radio is pushing out more power than the standard 4 watts you get on FM and AM. So yeah, I mean, a quick test, quite happy that things are working as they should be. But I thought as well, we'll take a look on my antenna, because there might be some issues with that, just in terms of it being a bit old and a bit battered. Again, in my previous video I mentioned that the area has been up there for 5 or 6 years. It's been down once and it is a bit battered. When I say it's been down, I've taken it down, not that it's fallen down. But we've had 2 massive storms in the last couple of months, and it did get a bit of a beating from that. And previous to that, twice before, there's been some massive storms over that 5 or 6 year period where it's taken a good whipping from the wind. So I've got an option to possibly change the antenna, look at getting something else, but I just want to run a bunch of tests. I want to look at also the noise floor that I'm getting, because again, as I've said in previous videos, I'm simply not getting the same quality of signals that I was a few years ago, and the same number of signals. And I believe some of that might be to do with an extension that got built next door. There's new equipment gone in there, extraction fans, all sorts of things. So I'm wondering if that might be creating a bit of noise for me in this end of the house. Let me show the antenna now. So we're outside now looking at my Venom half wave, which again I've had for a good number of years. Didn't cost me a great deal of money. It was around about 30 quid, 35 quid I think. It's one of the cheapest home base antennas that I could find, and it's done a good job for me in previous years. I've had signals in from all over Europe really, Germany, Italy, France, and probably the best signal I ever got was from a station in Barbados, which was definitely pushing a huge amount of power, but that was quite a day getting a signal in from the West Indies. So I'm wondering if it might be time to replace it with something else. And as you can see, it's a little bit out of shape. There's quite a bend at the top end, but the key issue really particularly with this sort of a half-wave antenna is the Jubilee clips. They're not great quality. What that means is they don't hold things as tight as you might like. I don't know if you can make it out, but the different sections of the antenna, the sort of second part of it from the bottom has slipped down inside. Now that's going to make the antenna too short, and I was expecting when looking at the SWR that would show up, but it seems to be all right, and certainly, you know, it's operational. I'm not concerned about using the radio based on the readings that we just got, so I'm quite happy to switch it on and see what signals we get through this summer with things as they are. But the idea is that at some point in the future I'm probably going to take this down, replace it with something else, and I want to use this when I get my camper van, and when I'm doing some DX stuff. I'd like to be able to get a drive-on mount, get this up in the air, and use this as a DX antenna rather than the T2LT, because it's a bit of a faff setting all that up. So that's it for the antenna. The other thing to show you is all of this is new from my neighbours. So there's a few extraction fans. I know that they've got their washing machine, dryer, all of that sort of stuff. So they've had new electrics put in, and also because of the extension, I know they've had work done on their Wi-Fi. So there's Wi-Fi extenders, bigger areas on their router, all of that. So that too is causing me questions about the noise floor that I'm getting now. So in future videos I'm going to be looking at that. There's conversations to have about what coax cables I'm using, all of that sort of stuff, and I want to do a video about the different types of coax as well that could be used, to see if we can limit the amount of interference that we're getting, just to really try and optimize the radio and the signals that I get. So another thing to show you, which came up in the previous video, is my antenna matcher. Now, as I said before, I don't think I've got issues with SWR, but I may well at some point bring the antenna back down, make the adjustments in terms of just again optimizing it, because it's not perfect. See if we can improve things, and if I need to, I'll use the matcher just to see kind of what readings I get. And what I might do is do another separate YouTube video of using the matcher, just to show you how it works, if I can remember. And equally, as I say, I might bring the antenna down, so I'll do a separate video on that. As I say, there's other plans to look at the noise floor that I'm getting, so I want to do some work around where possible interference might be coming from, and so we can do a series of videos around getting my Radio Shack working as best as it can. Alright guys, I'll catch up with you in another YouTube video soon. Cheers guys.